Good evening, everybody. The hour being after 6:30, I'd like to call the Tuesday, June 17th Walpole School Building Committee meeting to order. This is a hybrid meeting. Any members of the public wishing to ask questions can email us at middleschoolproject.ma.k12.us. And our next order of business is approval of meeting minutes. Do we have any questions or comments about the meeting minutes? Hearing none, I take a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
I'll move.
The motion for Mr. Fisher, Mr. Jack Fisher. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second for Mr. Krakis. Let me poll the committee. Dr. Kenny?
Abstain. I was not present.
Very good. Ms. Gallivan?
I was not present either.
Mr. DeRocher?
I accept.
Mr. Krakis?
Yes.
Jeff Fisher?
Approved.
Jack Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Senek?
Abstained.
And I vote yes. So is that a majority of the committee if we have 3 abstentions?
Yeah, because you've got 5 out of 8.
We just need a majority of the
Yeah.
people that are here. Very good. All right, very good. Good to know. Our next order of business is the project status update. Kate?
Yep, I'll hand this one over to Griffin or Joel.
Thanks, Kate. So, update, the change order work along East Street is just about wrapping up. The site contractor is demobilized. Our landscaper's in there. This week he's installing the batting cages. We got the dugout canopies that they were delivered last week, so those will start going together towards the end of this week into most of next week. Remaining thing for the site contractor is we're just trying to iron out a paving date with them for most of the paving along the walkways, kind of on our side of the walkway. I'll call it on our side of the fence. And then once the paving on the actual walkway is done in the town scope, we'll be back to install the fence fabric. All the posts are in, but it's just easier for them to pave it if we keep the fabric off for now. So we'll have our guys jump back once that paving is complete, and then the couple scoreboards. So the new scoreboard on the existing posts at the varsity field, and then the scoreboard at the softball field. That will be probably the last week of the month. And then really big picture, the only things that will kind of linger into July would be wrapping up the fencing once the paving is complete, and the bleachers, all the pads and everything are already poured. It's just a matter of trying to lock down a delivery date on those bleachers. So once we have that, we will let you guys know. That'll be a quick in and out. And then really any landscape touch up for as we work our way out. So that's, I don't know if you want me to walk through these, Kate, but that was towards the end of our walkway. If you're looking to the right at the field, so that's the retention pond shaped right there. And then kind of a little bit further is where the majority of call it the site furnishing items are. This is the widening along East Street. That was the DPW scope. We had the fence post there. Sorry, I'm good. Was getting an echo. Sorry about that. The larger posts, that's the safety netting. So those are in, as I mentioned. That's their fence crew does the fence fabric as well as safety netting. So they'll be back towards the end of the month to wrap that stuff up. Another photo there, same safety netting posts.
Any questions on the construction update and schedule?
The retention pond, does that just get grass or seed or sod, or what does that look like when it's finished?
Griffin,
Yeah.
do you remember?
Yeah, that's like it's own bioretention seed mix, so similar to what we've done kind of on the base bid project towards the school.
Thank you.
I think it's like a low maintenance mix.
Thank you.
So we're on to the vendor invoice package, Kate? Very good.
Yep, so we have the May vendor invoice package. We are cleaning up a bunch of invoices, some smaller invoices, some like regular size invoices, I guess you would say. So we have our typical Vertex invoice, TAP A. We have some that are related to irrigation. So if you remember on this project, we stayed with Parks to do the irrigation at the fields, and then along the side where we had the temp bus exit road at one point. So there are some irrigation invoices in here, some invoices for the curb and extending the paving area for the parking, and then some details associated with the work happening on East Street, and also our Fontaine invoice, and then cleaning up a little bit of FF&E. So just flipping through really quickly. Computer. So just the standard Vertex and TAP A invoice. The Fontaine rec is for $531,221. They are currently 98% complete with their contract work. We have the updated total project budget in your vendor invoice package, and update where we are with the MSBA reimbursements. And we are looking for a vote for the May vendor invoice package in the amount of $826,925.62.
Thanks, Kate. Do we have any questions or comments about the vendor invoice package?
Yeah, Mark, I apologize. I wasn't at the last meeting, so this may have been covered there, but it seems to me like when I was looking at it that there are a lot of change orders. And I know we worked so hard to avoid change orders. So my question is, are we responsible for paying for these change orders, or are they something that that one of the contractors is responsible for?
So when you're referring to change orders, are you talking about the individual invoices in the package?
Probably. I mean, I looked at it over the weekend, and I just happened to notice that there were, it said change order fairly frequently on a couple of the pages that I was looking at, but I don't know specifically. It's just in general, I guess I'm asking.
Yeah, so I think we were at, are we at 12 change orders for this project, I believe, Griffin?
Yeah, I think it was 12 owner change orders.
Yeah, so that number hasn't changed. A lot of these small invoices fall into some irrigation work that we knew was going to be coming out of kind of our soft cost bucket for other project costs. And then also from the town side, any of the invoices that are related to the paving scope that's being overseen by the DPW, and then touching up some of the site stuff with Parks along the connection would come out as the additional invoices. But that was already previously voted to be encumbered or committed at a previous building committee meeting.
Kate, can I ask that question slightly differently?
Yep.
I think 95%, 98% of this vendor invoice package goes against the big change order for the fields for $2.1 million.
Yeah, so there's, I believe, 135,000, if you total up some of these invoices, goes against the paving scope for the fields that was previously approved, and the work has been done, and there's, I think, 17,000 of this goes against the irrigation piece. Besides the Fontaine change order scope that was previously approved and the TAP A services that were previously approved.
Again, most of the dollar value here is against the big change order for the fields.
That's correct.
I think
Yes.
that's what, Nancy, I think that's what you were alluding to, but I'm not sure.
And that is what I was trying to understand. It's also because I was asked by somebody who lives nearby about the fact that it seemed like that, or they had heard that some of the work had been done incorrectly and had to get redone. And it just, so when I saw the change orders, it made me wonder if there were some things that were done incorrectly and who's responsible for it.
If there's work that was done incorrectly, which there is not currently, besides what we have just on our punch list, the consultants go through with TAPE's team at the end of every phase and review all of the work completed, and then we have an ongoing punch list that Fontaine is pretty much almost complete with. So there isn't any work that on this list that was corrected from being not compliant previously.
Okay, I just felt like I should ask because I know how careful we had been being. So, thank you.
Thanks, Nancy. Mr. Krakis, you had a question?
I'm all set. I found it in very small print. Thank you.
Do we have any other questions or comments about the vendor invoice package? Hearing none, I would take a motion to approve the vendor invoice package.
So moved.
I have a motion from Dr. Kenny. Do we have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Senek. Let me poll the committee. Dr. Kenny,
Yes.
Ms. Gallivan,
Yes.
Mr. DeRocher,
Yes.
Mr. Krakis,
Yes.
Jeff Fisher,
Yes.
Jack Fisher,
Abstain.
Mr. Senek,
Yes.
and I abstain as well. Our next order of business is discussion to and from the MSBA. Kate?
Yep, nothing new to report here. They're up to date with our OPM reports and also the change order review process. Nothing has changed with the reimbursement percentage. Once we hit the 95% complete, the final 5% is held until the closeout process is done, which we've talked about previously.
Any questions or comments? Very close to that. Any discussion of any sort?
Yeah, Mark, I got something to discuss.
Yeah, Jeff, yep, right ahead.
Yeah, so, maybe the question is to Kate, but how much of the work being done right now is towards the original scope of work, the middle school, versus the field? Is everything that we're doing right now, field and paving, and part of the change order?
In terms of Fontaine's contract,
In terms of any work being done right now?
so the majority of I'd say 350,000 of the Fontaine invoice was towards change order 13, which was the field scope, and then 135,000. So yeah, I'd say yes, the majority is right now closing out the field's scope and the paving scope.
So Mark, we've got a schedule that goes out right now through December. And I guess my question is, does this committee need to continue to oversee this work? And, we've met the goal of our charter, which was to get this school building, built and occupied, and we've done that. The last major field project that the town had was overseen by the select board, and that's really what we're doing right now is managing a field project, and I'm not quite sure that, the school building committee needs to stay involved to do that.
So typically, the school building committee stays involved until the last Fontaine rec is paid, and that checks off our box that we're starting the closeout process with the MSBA. That being said, we're trying to complete all this work in September so we can get our final Fontaine rec early fall. So once we got that, if we can work towards that schedule and get the final rec as soon as possible, then we don't need to meet because we don't have to approve any other invoices, and we're officially in the closeout process with the MSBA. But in terms of the select board, I'm not sure how that would work. I know the MSBA requires a school
Jeff,
building
I would
committee.
guess that since we decided to add to the project, that the MSBA would expect us to continue to meet
But
until it's...
if I'm not mistaken, none of that additional scope is being covered by the MSBA.
No, it's not, but it's delaying the project being finished, I think.
Something to think about. We don't need to make a decision now, but.
So basically, all invoices have to be paid, not just one. It's our invoices, it's TAPA's. Basically, MSBA wants to check the box that all invoices have been paid through the process, and then we start that clock of closeout, which we're pushing, obviously, to do that as soon as possible, hopefully, like Kate said, September.
Does this body need to approve those invoices, or can we shift that over to another body like the select board that's already in place and meeting regularly?
What we did for the previous project, not to go back and look and maybe check Brian Jarvis, but I think it we authorized the chairperson to sign.
We've met the objectives of the charter, guys. I don't see the need for this body to
This
continue
is
to
really
meet.
more of an, I think, an MSBA rule versus committee town. I think it's MSBA.
Yeah, Jeff, we'd have to get a ruling on that, I think, some kind of legal
Okay.
opinion.
Could I ask a slightly different question, Kate? If it's anticipated that all of the work is going to get completed on the fields by early July, which is a month out, when would we expect the last invoices from anybody?
So usually,
September?
I would say September. Usually it's the landscape piece and accepting the landscape at the school itself, not the fields, that holds up or, is the last piece that gets accepted and closes out the rec. Because we have to make sure the grass is accepted on the entire property, not the fields around the middle school. Currently, I know Fontaine is maintaining still all of the grass are on the whole school property. So the landscape architect is going to be coming out again to review the phase 1 work of grass, but usually it's the landscape.
So we could be approving invoices for the final landscaping sometime in September, probably October, though.
The latest.
The latest.
Well, after that,
Yeah.
grass doesn't grow.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Anything else?
Is punch work in the building complete, Kate?
Punch list. Griffin, do you want to touch on that? There's only a handful of items left in the building.
Yeah, there's maybe, I think there's less than 10 inside the building. So now that students are out of school, we'll take advantage of these first couple weeks and try to get that stuff closed out and then back punched by the design team. And I know, as Kate mentioned, the landscape walk. So Warner Larson, the landscape architect, is actually coming out tomorrow to hopefully sign off on some of the phase 1 work for the lawns on the exterior.
Yeah, and some of the added lockers, I think, are scheduled to come in this summer also.
Oh, so the additional lockers that we got.
They're still
Yeah, yeah.
being fabricated.
And when you said 10, is that 10 items or $10,000 or $10 or like?
That is 10 individual items
Oh, great, thank you.
out of a couple thousand that we had
Yeah, no, I'm
initially.
sure there were. Thank you.
Anything else?
I
Kate?
think in looking at it, I think some of them are like, okay, there's paint that has to be touched up, that sort of stuff. I mean, there's a couple bigger ones in there.
Mostly small things.
Yeah, mostly small.
Understood. Well, yeah. Kids have been in there for a year or two already, so.
Okay, you mentioned something about changing the next meeting?
Yeah, so we're proposing bumping up the next meeting from July 22nd to July 15th, and that would be a hybrid meeting. So I think I had sent out a hold on your calendar for the 22nd, but I will be updating that to July 15th, so hopefully that works.
Does anybody have any questions or objections about that?
Good.
Great.
Did you check with Bridget on that? Because I know that there's a conference that she goes to, sometime right around then.
I'll check with her. I know she's at a conference right now. I'll have to check about a July conference.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing. I'm available.
Okay.
Any final comments? Hearing none, I take a motion to adjourn. Motion from Jack Fisher. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Krakis. And we poll the committee. Dr. Kenny?
Yes.
Ms. Gallivan?
Yes?
Mr. DeRocher?
Yes.
Mr. Krakis?
Yes.
Jeff Fisher?
Yes.
Jack Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Senek?
Yes.
And I vote yes. It is a vote. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.